Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Office Bloke Daz.
And collectively we are the Office Blokes. It's true. Turns out a lot of you people aren't subscribed to our channel, and it would help us out massively if you can subscribe. So we'll just give you a minute.
Just do it. It's free.
Done?
Don't cost anything.
Done? Don't take anything whatsoever, does it? Love to get one of those gold plaques one day. Probably get a gold plaque and then a kick in the balls off YouTube at the same time.
And a ban.
Yeah, that's how they roll.
Which you can see him through the mirror.
Yeah. We had to bleep out a bit of that on the Christmas special. Anyway, yeah, so give us a like and subscribe and all that good stuff. We do appreciate it massively.
Indeed.
Right, the 10 poorest areas in England.
I think I'm from one of them. I know, it's got to be on there.
It's the biggest council estate in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm right from the shit part of that.
A council estate, for people who don't know, is like the housing projects.
Projects, yeah.
Basically, it's social housing.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think I'd be surprised if Wythenshawe's not on there.
Well, Ben Chill. I'm originally from Ben Chill.
Yeah.
Which is the shit part of Wythenshawe.
That's
You've got like the armpit and then Ben Chill right in the middle of it.
So that's when you nick the wheels off someone's car, you can't leave them outside your house because they'll get nicked.
We didn't nick it. We didn't steal off anyone.
I bet there was stealing going on. I bet if you left your bike outside a shop, it'd be gone.
You couldn't leave your bike outside a shop. You can't now. If you go there now.
Yeah. You get some characters there though, don't you?
Yeah. You can buy anything
understatement.
You can buy anything from an 8-ball to a pack of sausages. In the space of like one door.
In the pub.
In the pub,
yeah. If you buy your meat from the pub, you're in a rough area.
Yeah.
Some sausages.
Yeah. So you can buy sausages. And in the pub, not long ago in the pub, I bought some sausages, some a lady shave, like a lady razor thing, and a packet of Penguins, chocolate biscuits.
What combination?
All for about £4.
Nice Christmas present as well.
Someone goes, "Can you get any salmon, mate?" And the whole pub goes,
But then about 60 seconds later, the guy comes in with loads of salmon.
Yeah, a whole salmon.
Fresh, everything from like.
How much for that whole salmon, mate? £1?
Yeah,
I don't know.
£1 if you buy it now.
Yeah. Anyway, this could be interesting. And incidentally, this channel we're enjoying reacting to. So link in the description.
Learning Canteen.
Learning Canteen. Go and follow this channel and let's build them up as well because they're doing good
really
stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
10 poorest areas in England. Despite England's strong and positive economic indications, some of its areas are not having the complexion reflected by its overall data.
This is another guy doing a voiceover, isn't this? Like the third one.
It sounds a bit like the guy with the glasses on that did the American-British comparisons. Red glasses or something, did he? Or it sounds a bit like him.
The area I grew up in, just saying about the poorest areas, the school I went to was classified as inadequate, right? And now it's closed down.
Couldn't even hold on to that inadequate title.
No. I actually drove past it this morning, and it's all like just derelict, and it's still got the lights on though. Someone must have left the lights on. Like, it must be on a timer.
The lights are wired up to a lamppost outside. They can't switch it off.
But our school was next to a pub.
Nice.
And at lunchtime, we used to zip our coats so you couldn't see the school uniform sort of thing, and go in the pub.
Why not? My school was obviously Timperley. We tried to go to the pub when I think we were in sixth form. Couldn't get served. They knew that we were too young, and we were chatting to this guy outside the chippy in the pub. You know, the Hare and Hounds. Big duffel coat, a big bag about that big, and he was talking about the fact that he was ex-military. He was obviously wrong. There was something going on with him.
Yeah.
Went into my school with a samurai sword, didn't he? Just after he'd been chatting to us, and it was one of them where all the classrooms were just locked down. Nothing ever came of it. There was nothing in the news or anything, but he legitimately went into school with a samurai sword.
Wow.
And we were best buddies with him from 5 minutes ago.
Words, some of its areas are poor, at least in a relative sense. And in the real sense, they're poorer than cities in other parts of Europe. By the time you're through with this video about the 10 poorest areas in England, my views would have become yours. The neighbourhoods considered the poorest areas in England are those with the biggest shortages of basic social infrastructure, such as parks, playgrounds or public gardens, pubs, stores and sports facilities. They qualify for government grants meant for community renewals. They're the ones I'll love to spotlight in this video.
They all get skate
So
parks
let's
as
get
well.
down to analysing the 10 poorest areas in England in descending order. 10. Blurton, Stoke-on-Trent.
No shit.
The name Blurton. It's just
That would never be pronounced Blurton.
Blurton. Blurton. Yeah, bloody Stoke.
Blurton, which is in Stoke-on-Trent City Council, is our starting point. As a part of a Conservative and City Independent coalition, Blurton is in the Stoke-on-Trent South Parliamentary constituency. If you're moving to England and are considering Stoke-on-Trent in the West Midlands as your last
West
resort,
Midlands?
you're advised to avoid
West Midlands?
West Midlands, that is it?
Staffordshire.
Yeah.
Stoke.
Stoke.
Yeah. But that's
Who
probably
cares?
nice. But at least it shows live football. The cottage.
living in Blurton. It's sadly one of the poorest areas, whose statistics of deprivation have climbed up significantly. There is nothing to really write home about Blurton. Blurton is probably the main reason why
Thanks, Carl.
Stoke-on-Trent is listed among the highly deprived areas. Since the release of 2010 indices of deprivation, in which Stoke ranked 16th most deprived out of 3,262 local authorities, the actual most deprived areas have clustered around Blurton and a few other places. 9. King's Standing, Birmingham. Now let's go to North Birmingham to locate King's Standing, the area that gives its name to a ward in Erdington. It's the next to be touched among the 10 poorest areas in England. The rate of home ownership in King's Standing is way lower than the national average, be it via a mortgage or owning outright. Does that tell you something? You could discern an economic deprivation there. The lower rate of home ownership has unfortunately created a scarcity of accommodation and consequently jacked up the rent way beyond the national average. 8. Halton.
So does that? Warrington, innit?
Okay, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it rings a bell, Halton.
Yeah.
I think it is Warrington, isn't it?
I'm expecting some from the northeast to be in this, like Cleveland or something.
Grimsby.
Or Grimsby.
What
Middlesbrough.
about my side?
I think there's a lot of money in Moss Side, though.
Where?
It's not like
I don't think there is.
it's not like it. It's not like it used to be.
It's like fucking Mogadishu. What are you on about?
I know it's still rough, but because it's so close to the city centre, it's full of students. It's full of like.
Nah, my side isn't.
I think historically, a place like Gorton would be there as well, wouldn't they? Alongside
I'd say
maybe
Gorton.
Abbey Hay.
Gorton for me is worse
Abbey
than
Hay.
Moss Side.
Abbey-
Harper Hay,
Abbey Hay's worse than Harper Hay.
is it?
Yeah.
Next one of the poorest areas in England is Halton, a local government district in the northwestern ceremonial county of Cheshire. It has got a borough status and is administered by a unitary authority following its creation in 1974 as a district and non-metropolitan county. On April 1st, 1998, Halton of Cheshire was granted the status of a unitary authority area under Halton Borough Council. However, this has done next to nothing in improving the area's economic status. The data from the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, indicates that more than 25% of the neighbourhoods in this borough are among the poorest 10% of the 32,845 neighbourhoods assessed. As an example, the health of residents of Halton is statistically worse than England's average health ranking. 7. South Kirkby, Wakefield.
Wakefield?
There's a town in the city of Wakefield in West Yorkshire called South Kirkby. This town is locally under the administration of South Kirkby and Moorthorpe Town Council. This town of South Kirkby is the next to be considered among the poorest areas in England. Some of the area of Wakefield district, according to the Index of Multiple Deprivation, and as the case is across the county, are home to poor people.
Wakefield's quite nice. My mate lives in Wakefield. It's lovely.
I think this is just a small part of Wakefield, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've been up to Wakefield, and some of it is nice, isn't it?
Kirkby is one of these. People in this town are generally poorer, only getting by with the most basics, as they can't afford comforts and services generally at the fingertips of the English. Many of them are in and out of work a lot of times. They also rank among the less healthy. 6. South Elmshall, Wakefield. We're still in the city of Wakefield in West Yorkshire in profiling the poorest areas in England. South Elmsall is a town and civil parish in this city. It lies some distance to the east of Hemsworth. As an active, busy but small market town located between Doncaster and Wakefield, South Elmsall is not economically advancing. The town hasn't really developed more than the small farming settlement it used to be before and during the Industrial Revolution, even though the sinking of collieries brought about a boom in its population. Yet there are not enough modern housing units to cater to the workforce. The town struggled to improve its economic status between 2002 and 2007, but the global recession of the following year has obliterated all those efforts. 5. Isle of Sheppey. Off the northern coast of Kent,
I don't know where that is. I just assumed everywhere like south of Birmingham was posh. Had loads of money.
I'm sure there's a few places in London.
Have you been at Croydon?
Yeah.
You know.
I was going to say there's some areas of London that's pretty deprived as well, isn't there? Definitely.
But again, if you go off a lot of these sort of metrics that they go off, they might be poor deprived bits of London, but compared to poor deprived bits of Yorkshire or Lancashire, they're practically rich, aren't they?
Well, that's why Wythenshawe might not be on it, because it's right next to the airport.
Yeah.
So a lot of the employment comes from there to go to the airport.
Yeah. I mean, we'd normally look at a deprived area. We'd just drive through it and think, grim.
Shithole.
We won't take into consideration jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know the bad areas, don't you? You can just drive through them and you know straight away, don't you, if they're good or not.
Yeah.
Whenever there's someone that I talk to, and whenever we talk about certain areas of the UK, it's like, oh yeah, have you been to Bury? And I'm like, yeah, it's a dump. And they'll say somewhere else, and I'm like, yeah, it's a dump. Everywhere we talk about, I'm like, it's a dump there. It's grim.
Bury's quite nice.
I was there the other day.
Parts of Bury are really nice.
No, the outer bits, the more rural bits I like, but the actual town centre for me
the
is
council
like,
estates, they're the...
It's the town centre I don't like.
You go like Ramsbottom. You go like Ramsbottom and places like that.
Yeah, Ramsbottom's nice, but that's further out.
That's
it's the town centre I talk about with, all the black pudding and all that.
found an island known as the Isle of Sheppey as another one of the poorest areas in England. It may interest you to learn that the island derived its name Sheppey from Old English skipig, which means sheep island. I can't tell you the number of sheep on the island anyway. One of the most terrible places on the Isle of Sheppey is Sheerness, a coastal 0.3 mile stretch. It's one of the most deprived areas of England. The number of children living in poverty here is estimated at 800. The majority of those living on the Isle of Sheppey are UK born. This shows that poverty reigns in this area with a population older than the national average, and that repels visitors and expats. 4. Hartcliffe, Bristol. The name Hartcliffe refers to both the council ward and an outer suburb of the city of Bristol. This district of Bristol is made up of Hartcliffe and Headley Park, as well as a small portion of Bishopsworth and Withywood. It is one of the poorest areas of England on the northern slopes of Dundry Hill. The major problem of the people living in Hartcliffe is that they are earning a very low income. According to a study, Hartcliffe is a place immersed in poverty and a lack of access to decent, affordable stores or greengrocers where good quality fresh produce can be picked. These businesses can't be there because the residents can't patronise them as they don't have the means.
That was a very nice way of saying no one buys vegetables, so the shops don't sell vegetables.
Yeah.
Great Yarmouth.
Where's Great Yarmouth?
It's on the east coast.
Like sort of
Lincolnshire area, isn't it?
like
Is it Lincolnshire?
yeah, it's sort of like Norwich way, isn't it?
Yeah,
sort of
a bit
on
further, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I just assumed everywhere on that side was all right.
You need to get out more.
I don't need to go south more. I'm all right.
3. Great Yarmouth. Also known as Yarmouth, Great Yarmouth is a seaside resort town in Norfolk, straddling the River Yare, about 20 miles east of Norwich. Sitting on a 3.1 square mile parcel of land between the North Sea and River Yare, the town has rows of houses lining its narrow streets. Unfortunately, it remains one of the poorest areas in England. One of the contributors to the poverty in Great Yarmouth is racism that has not been addressed. Another one in this seaside town is mass unemployment, with its usual attendant problems such as drug addiction and petty crime. Things are so...
What's the link between racism and poverty?
I'm not sure really, but they have I mean, there's a lot of seaside towns like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where, drugs and crime is
Blackpool.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't
But
it?
it's seasonal, isn't it?
So
It booms in
seasonal,
the summer and then there's just
nothing
nothing.
to do, and probably part-time work, probably people out of work for months and months of the year. It's it's difficult, isn't it?
Imagine you go around places like Antigua on the Caribbean Sea and all that, and your fucking coastal towns, the North Sea,
Yeah.
flooded in sewage and fucking oil. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering the link. Maybe is it loads of migrants in the town and people won't employ them,
Could be.
and that's where the racism link comes into the
Could be,
poverty.
'cause it's that neck of the woods, isn't it, where
Yeah, maybe.
like first
yeah.
port of call from
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the actual link and the
Yeah.
reasons behind it were.
middle
yeah.
of nowhere as well.
Yeah.
Bad that a school in town had to set up a food bank to support families who can't afford to eat. No wonder the town is plagued with social problems such as teenage pregnancies and single parenting. 2. Hartlepool.
I've been on all of them, hasn't it? So
The
far?
large port town of Hartlepool in northeastern County Durham is the largest settlement and administrative centre of the larger borough of Hartlepool. Located 32 miles southeast of Newcastle upon Tyne and 17 miles southeast of Durham, it's also 20 miles southeast of Sunderland and 12 miles northeast of Stockton-on-Tees. Surprisingly, such a large town can be among the poorest areas in England. The Hartlepool property ownership and rental statistics reveals a lower rate of home ownership than the national average. Also, the proportion of children in low-income households are way above the England average. In almost all measurements of economic well-being, Hartlepool is doing so badly. 1. Jaywick. Our final...
What's in drinking in the Never Say
Die.
Die.
Yeah.
Proper boots off on a Friday night in there.
Never heard of it, have you?
No.
Never heard of it. No idea where it is.
I'm surprised there's not been anywhere in Liverpool.
Same.
Yeah.
Because
No
there's some
offence to Liverpool.
bad
but yeah,
parts
some-
of Liverpool,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've driven around there a lot, work-wise, and some pretty
The whole street's
tough
boarded up.
places. Yeah.
Cars with no wheels.
Yeah.
point of call, which is actually the poorest area in England, is Jaywick, a coastal village located in the Tendring district of Essex. It's 2 miles west of Clacton-on-Sea and on the North Sea coast of England. It's also 60 miles from London and 17 miles from Colchester. Even though it once served as a popular holiday destination, it has now ranked England's poorest area for 2 years in a row.
Wow.
It's so bad that a whopping 40% of residents of Essex Seaside Village live on benefits. On TV documentary series are images of neglected houses and unpaved roads riddled with potholes. The Essex Council
road.
has recently pumped some $8.8 million into improving the infrastructure in Jaywick, but it was so bad.
That's the problem. They're spending dollars instead of pounds. So the
So
workers
close-
are going, I'm not
So close to London, why don't they just fuck all them off to Great Yarmouth that live there, right? And move the border people out from London out there and, regenerate, and you'll have a great
Yep.
town there.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, instead of spending hundreds of billions on HS2 so the Southerners
Yeah.
can have cheap northern homes and then commute back to London,
Yeah, stick him there.
put
Do
them there
Jaywick up.
and
Yeah.
build a nice, nice
have one
apartments.
shithole in Great Yarmouth rather than two close by,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then just have that and fence it off.
yeah.
The master plan is complete.
Yeah. And you could probably do that for $1 billion or so, because you just need a direct train line into London.
There
and then
will,
you-
there will be one.
well,
It's the Clapton.
Just
Yeah.
worked it out.
yeah,
Not
and
a billion.
then flatten it, build some hipster apartments and some nice little green quarters and
Yep.
things that you call
Parks,
it, like
schools.
hipster pizza places
Yeah.
and pies.
Sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, we just
Solved the problem.
I know, yeah, no,
And not only that, then Great Yarmouth moves up the charts to number one.
yeah, precisely.
Everyone's a winner.
We should
They'll be happy with that.
We should run for some sort
Yeah.
of political office.
That huge among has not been very impactful. As you can see from this list, those poorest areas in England have fewer civic amenities and cultural assets per person. That is why they could also be counted among the left-behind neighbourhoods and deprived areas. With this less density of community assets, physical and mental health has suffered for it. It's now your turn to react. Do you agree that these are the 10 poorest areas in England?
It's I find it really sad, these seaside towns, because you go back to probably the 50s, the 60s, they were booming, weren't they? And
huge, yeah.
As soon as like cheap foreign holidays came in and people could afford to not go to the seaside towns, so many of them just fell behind.
You take an example, you got Blackpool, right? Right, for me, our closest probably seaside town is probably Blackpool, a big one. Right? Yeah. So you got Blackpool, right? You're paying a hotel, you pay for your beers and your food, and it's expensive.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no flight involved or anything like that. You're driving and parking's expensive when you get there.
Yeah.
To Blackpool, which fucking God knows why. And there's naff all there when you go. Weather's probably shit. Or you can go to Spain for 200 quid.
Oh no. Yeah,
I'm I mean, and sit on a beach where the weather's nice and the bars are all clean and you can sit drinking a beer overlooking the Mediterranean.
I'm not trying to discourage foreign travel, because I spent loads of time in Portugal over the years. Absolutely love it, and that's a relatively cheap holiday in the grand scheme of things. You know, it's probably cheaper than going to Blackpool for a week.
Absolutely,
and staying at a hotel.
I mean, all the British seaside, it just shows you a load of seaside towns.
Yeah.
That's because from the early 1900s, when the railways were starting up and everything, they were absolutely huge, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, millions of people used to flock to these places. They were massive. But now, like I say, with foreign travel and stuff, it's just a lot of them have. But that's all they've got, isn't it? You know. Yeah, they've got the seaside, and that's it. They haven't got any other sort of industries there, have they?
No.
They sort of rely on tourism, and it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough sell, especially with, like I say, the weather sometimes in this country.
Yeah.
It can be shit.
The pandemic is going to have absolutely decimated some of these towns that are already at the bottom of the list.
Big time.
They rely on that little bit of tourism that they've got left, and it's just
You've got to feel it for
done.
all the people, in
especially
those
North Wales.
there. And yeah, it's an absolutely huge loss to them.
North Wales would be proper shite now. It was shite before. Now it'd be proper shite.
There's nice pockets, isn't there?
No? Or Anglesey?
No, well, what's the bit?
Just a few
Warren.
Yeah, there's like the Warren. That's
Abersock.
Abersock,
yeah. Around there, there's a lot of money.
There's a load of nice places, Anglesey. Yeah. Load of nice places there. Llandudno. That's
but you go like Rail and Prestatyn and places like that.
Yeah, I think the further you go along, then you get to Colwyn Bay and Anglesey.
Colwyn Bay,
tends to be a bit nicer.
Llandudno, places like that, I love.
But Rill, mate, Jamwick look like fucking Beverly Hills.
I know.
Yeah, your Rills and your Prestatyns are a bit more Blackpoolish, aren't they? A bit more fun fairy type of thing. It's just been so tough for them the last 5 or 10 years. You know, it's just it's difficult.
At least now you know where not to go. At least Stoke made it.
I know, Stoke.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.